Now, the only problem today in the market is the appreciation. That is lacking. And so the investors might not be interested in investing in these sectors right now because they might think that appreciation is not in the near horizon. It might take some time. But for the end users, number one, this is a great time to buy, and they should not wait that let the price start appreciating. The moment the price will start appreciating, it will go
The
beyond
end users get pushed out of the
pushed
market
out of
again.
the market.
And that is one serious message that we wanted to bring to you. If you are an end user and you've still not bought, don't think that this will go on endlessly. The prices have been under check
Are
for
not falling now.
the prices are not falling now. The prices have been under check for the last 4 to 5 years now. The prices are more or less what it was launched at. The
Yeah.
projects have been completed. The one thing is that projects that were stuck, there is a lot of projects that have started coming through to completion. Developers who were non-serious have more or less sold out to the more serious players. There are many joint ventures, there are many big brands which have come and taken over projects where there was enough juice in that project. There was either unsold stock, or there was consumer receivables, or there was excess land, and those projects have actually started moving forward. Newer developers are coming and picking up those. So what you see is a large bank of completed housing that is coming into the market. As end users, it's a good time for you to look around, because remember that when these projects were launched, a lot of investors had bought into them. Those investors today, as the projects are getting completed, because the market's prices have held, many of them are willing to cut their losses and sell off and go. And that's where you will get good deals. Go out and look for deals. I see a lot of people making very, very good deals,
Yeah.
especially in the Noida, Greater
And
Noida
the
market.
best part for this stall project is this, that now at least JP, that is almost resolved. Now the NBCC has entered into the
Yeah,
system, and under the supervision of this NCLT and Supreme Court, that project is going to be completed. Similarly,
And that's a lot of units.
lot of units, 35,000 units are there.
Yeah.
Now similarly, this
Amrapali
Amrapali
is
is
coming.
also under Supreme Court scanner, and it is also getting implemented very aggressively.
The only thing that they're waiting for is to figure out how the money is coming in.
Yeah.
The arrangements are being made.
Yeah, exactly. And so I believe that there are enough money, and if the system works properly, I believe that those projects also going to be completed.
Right.
Now, besides this, now there are some other also, like Unitake. There is some problem in Unitake also, and I believe Supreme Court is trying to sort that out also.
Give it back to the government to
Yeah,
resolve,
individually project they are picking up, and they are trying to sell it to the restructuring company, those company who restructure
Yeah,
the
yeah.
projects and all. So they are trying to sell it. So when this is resolved, now the stall projects will start getting completion. So what will happen, that large chunk of apartments, at least around 2 lakh apartments will come in the mainstream, and that can be monetized. And if that can be monetized, that money will again come and into the system and start rotating.
What we've been saying, the cycle of finance.
Exactly.
Re-establish that cycle of finance which was broken, and only then
So
will.
that is huge sum of money.
Yes.
Something, the one estimate suggests that there is around 4 lakh crore rupees stuck in this stall project.
Right.
If that money comes to the system, and this money are from the real estate only.
Right.
So if that money comes into the system, that way itself will start pushing the entire market upwards. And so what I feel, that in the second half of 2020, the prices will also started looking up. Not certainly, I will say that 50% or
Yeah.
30%, but it will certainly beat the inflation. 5%, 4% kind of a price appreciation will start happening.
Also remember that when prices, what Prabhakar is saying, a small uptick in prices, it will also mean that the best units, the corner units, the vastu-friendly units, the units that are in most demand, those are the units that go away first. So after that, the ones who, the cherry picking can happen at this point of time, because as projects get completed, there will be units that you like, which you can pick up. As more and more stock gets taken up, you will find that you're actually picking from the leftover units.
Yeah, exactly.
And leftover units, every project has leftover units that are not the best located, that don't face the right direction, that are not very vastu friendly, and those are the ones that you will be left to pick up with if you let this period go. It's not that you have to rush into it. There is plenty of time for you to check. But if you are thinking of buying a unit, this is probably a good time to start.
Yeah, and then the two things,
Yeah.
more very important, one is the interest rate, another is infrastructure development. Now, interest rate had already come down. Now, SBI has done another cut and it has come down to below around 8%. Now, certainly there is a scope now. If the economy picks up, then certainly interest rate will also start looking up, but then the demand will come because of the economy
Right.
itself. And if it is not, then interest rate will further fall for, so those who are buying into the project right now, for their EMI will come down. So both way, it is good to invest in real estate at this price. So that's what I mean to, so that is the interest rate.
In fact, more than invest, we would like to use the word buy.
Yeah,
If you want to buy, this is a good time to
very
buy.
good time.
Because even as investors, you're buying at the lowest rates. It doesn't go any lower than this. So even if you are an investor, but your time horizon will be much longer. It will be at least 5 to 7 years. There is no easy jump in home
Yeah.
prices, and there may not be an exorbitant rise in prices like we witnessed in the 2006 to 2011 period.
Now, and besides that, you see that at this price, if they will enter, no, now in many market, now I am telling you that in another couple of years, now two things, that those builders who are launching new projects now they are paying their price at higher than the near completion project of the earlier ones.
Right.
So that clearly suggests that prices are not going to go down from here, because when you ask them that why are you fixing or keeping the price at this level, they are saying that the cost of construction, completion itself is higher than the price they are selling.
Right.
So at that price, we cannot launch a project.
And cost of compliance. Today there are so many compliance issues. RERA is there. There has to be meticulous documentation. You have to hold your money in escrow accounts. All that is a cost for the developer who used to take money from one to the other with great ease. Now you can't do that. That cost of compliance will also be built into the price of the
Exactly.
houses.
That is 6%. People are still
That-
saying that.
yeah.
That is the 6% of the total cost. And so today, now you see even the Noida extension. I will give you one example. All the new projects which are getting launched is somewhere around 3,700 to 4,100 rupees square feet. Whereas many of the existing existing projects are selling at 3,000 rupees to 3,600 rupees per square feet. Now, once they are completed, and many of them are nearing completion, they might get the completion certificate by March. Now, in many of these projects, when it gets completed, they are equivalent to any other project.
Yes, absolutely.
They are the same footing.
And also remember that earlier, when you bought a house, you were going in blind. You didn't know what, there was a super area that you used to pay for, but you didn't know how much living space you had. Today, it is important that the developer, it is mandatory for the developer to tell you what is the carpet area of the unit. So you know exactly how much livable space you're getting, you know what you're paying for. Prabhakar, a lot of people who bought in those times when they got the house, they found it's almost like Honey, You Shrunk My House. What they paid for and what they anticipated was not what they got. A lot of those people are also back in the market saying, I can't live in this such a small house. I would like to exit that and buy a bigger house. So remember that it's not only people who don't have houses who are in the market today. There are people who want to upgrade. Many people want to upgrade.
Many people. Now, look, the market is just standstill for last 10 years.
Yes.
Now, those who had bought 10 years back, now today their financial condition is totally different.
Right.
So they want to upgrade, but their problem is that they are stuck in this project.
Right.
Now, unless they will exit from here, they cannot buy the new one.
Yeah.
So they want to exit, even if they suppose have to bear some kind of a loss, say of 5 lakh, 10 lakh of rupees in 70 lakh or 80 lakh of rupees, they are ready to do that, provided they could exit. Right now, in many of these projects, there are no buyers simply.
Right.
That's what I feel, that this year those buyers will come back and start looking for the houses in those stalled projects.
Prabhakar, one of the studies that we did, and we'll start taking your queries in just a minute. One of the studies that we did, we found that the millennial buyers are the ones who were between 25 and 35, there was no pressure on them to buy houses. They were quite happy moving from city to city as the work takes them, and also by living in rented accommodation. Now what has happened is a lot of them at the 35, 36, 35 to 40 year age group, many of them are looking at settling down. And they are in the 12 to 18 lakh price bracket, income bracket. They get their CLSS loan, and they are looking at a lifestyle as well, right? So this is the group that is also driving the market.
Yeah. And particularly most of the new construction, which is launched say in 2014, 15 or 12, 13 also. Now these projects have almost all the amenities which they are looking for.
Lifestyle features.
Lifestyle features.
Right.
And they are not very far off, and plus the kind of infrastructure is getting developed, the kind of connectivity is coming at the doorstep. And now look, many of these projects, they have a restaurant inside the campus
Right.
itself. They have other amenities, 24 hours kind of amenities, they are available inside. So the lifestyle has completely upgraded. So I mean, you go and look for a flat in Delhi,
Yeah.
and all these flats are built in 80s and
Yeah.
90s. So there is no swimming pool, nothing, no amenities, only the house is there.
Yes.
Okay, nothing else, just a lift, and now they have put some kind of a security features.
Right.
They have added to that. And go and see in the Noida or Gurgaon, the kind of a feature they are providing to their buyers. They have a gym, they have a swimming pool, they have all of the amenities. Now restaurant, 24-hour supply service. Now many of the societies are saying that, okay, we will have our own car rental service and things like that. That also they are providing. So what I meant to say is that these millennial crowds, now they are looking for the kind of a houses
Which are packaged with a lifestyle.
package with the lifestyle. And that is available today in the
True,
market.
true.
That is the
Absolutely.
best part.
Absolutely.
And plus, now look the kind of a airport. If the suppose airport comes in Noida, or the kind of a metro or the road networks is getting developed in this entire city. Now
Those areas that were not in vogue because it was difficult to access are now being connected by new infrastructure,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So now we will take some of your questions, and we also want you to take our poll that is running. Are you planning to buy a house in 2020? It's a yes no answer. Do participate. We would like to know what most consumers think of. One more thing that Prabhakar briefly touched upon: infrastructure. If infrastructure that was delayed is now being delivered, remember those places where you did not think of buying a house are those that you will now buy a house. A colleague of ours said that a friend of his was buying a house in Noida because of the new airport that's coming, because he travels very frequently. This is the kind of driver.
Not the Dwarka Expressway.
Yes.
The kind of the infrastructure they are developing in that entire expressway and connectivity to airport. I mean,
It's going to be overtake many of the premium parts of the city.
Entire Gurgaon, in fact,
Yes.
that area will become the most happening place in the Gurgaon.
Absolutely.
The way they are thinking to develop it, and that is going to happen by 2021. They are claiming. If not 2021, suppose by 2022, it's not very far off. When you're buying a house, 1 year is not a very long period.
Yeah, and there's going to be one of the biggest convention centers in the area.
And
So
there's some park also they have launched there recently. Home Minister had gone there to inaugurate that also.
So now let's start taking some of the queries that have come. Sneha Chaturvedi of Noida says, what 2020 holds for affordable housing? Will it be good to invest as a first-time home buyer? I have a budget of 50 lakh. Can I apply under PMAY?
PMAY you can apply, and 50 lakh is not only for the affordable housing. You can buy the normal housing also in a good society, and this is a very right time. Only thing is this, that he or she should the right location.
Right.
And the right kind of a developer who is really going to develop the project very well. 50 lakh rupees is sufficient amount today to buy a house.
In fact, think about it like this. There are some basic things that you should look for. Please check that the plumbing is good. Get it assessed, because plumbing is a problem that people live with throughout their tenure in the house. The second thing is, what is the security there? What are the new infrastructure projects that are coming? Will the metro come closer to your house? Will flyovers take you fast to your destination? Sometimes being in the middle of a flyover is a bad thing, because it takes you have to take a detour to enter the flyover. The location, like he said, is very, very important. Is it easy to access your workplace? Is it easy to access wherever you need to go, your entertainment center, your religious center, something like that? Will it give you the lifestyle that you're looking
Yeah,
for?
and today, like two area I'll suggest. One is the Dwarka Expressway and another is near airport. Say sector 150 in Noida, or otherwise go to Yamuna Expressway and close to Greater Noida. That part of the area is going to come up very handsomely in next 4 to 5 years down the line
Because of the airport.
because of the airport.
Right.
And now because of the airport, what is going to happen on the Yamuna Expressway, you see, the lot of industrial township is
Yes.
coming up.
Yes.
And that is going to create lot of jobs. And that blue collar and white collar jobs, both kind of jobs are going to be created.
So if you need to buy a house for maybe 10 years down the line, because that's when you will be occupying it, remember that in the next 3 to 4 years, there will be a healthy rental market. So when your house is complete, you may be able to get a rental income till you are ready to occupy your
Exactly,
house.
yeah. So you look for the right kind of area and invest.
Right. There is Anish of Mumbai who says, I'm thinking of investing in real estate properties for the first time. Which property type will be best to invest in 2020 for higher returns? There is one segment of the market that is not your house. There is commercial property which is doing very well in the country, across the country today. And because there is the first REITs has done exceedingly well, the second one is soon to be listed. We are going to see a lot of REITs coming up. I think the decade of the 2020s
Yeah.
is going to be
Of REITs.
of REITs. That means that REITs is a option where you can invest in very similar to your systematic investment plans in the stock markets. You can buy shares into REITs, which buys into the real estate properties, manages the rental income, gives you dividends, and keeps
Plus
your money
appreciation
growing.
also.
Keeps
And
your-
with the appreciation of the property, your REITs value will also increase.
That's right.
So that is a very good system.
So do you want to buy your house this year for self use? Yes. For future end use? Yes. For investment, real estate, residential real estate gives you 1.5 to 2% returns, whereas commercial real estate gives you 8% returns. But the leveraged value of the residential property rises by about 7 to 8%, whereas commercial property, the leveraged value goes up by 3 to 4%.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So more or less the returns are the same over a period of time. It's just a question of buy in those areas that are not oversupplied if you're an investor.
Yeah, and those areas where many of the commercial properties are coming up, so that your rental value of that property will go up.
Will go up. Rupesh Singh of Noida says, I bought a 2 BHK flat in 2017. I want to sell it, but I'm not getting higher returns. Should I wait or sell it at present rates? In Noida, I don't see property values rising for a while, at least for the next 1 to 2 years, because there's going to be a lot of stock that's going to come into the market. Like Prabhakar said, JP is being resolved, those properties will come in the market. Amrapali is being resolved, those properties will come into the market. As Unitech projects get picked up and completed by asset reconstruction companies, you're going to see those properties also coming into the market. When there's more supply than demand in a market, the prices don't go up. So if you are finding buyers for your house, maybe it's a good idea to exit at whatever value you're getting now and put your money into some project that is in early stages of construction with RERA registration, with a developer who has a track record of good development. That will give you better returns in the future. Do you agree?
Exactly, 100%.
Okay. There is Lalit Acharya of Hyderabad who says, I'm thinking of buying in suburbs and outskirts of Hyderabad. Is it good to invest in 2020? Since metro cities are quite expensive and I have a low budget, can I expect the suburbs to grow and develop in the future?
But metro will come to the suburbs in time to come.
In fact, in Hyderabad, follow the metro. I have seen that the metro is a big driver of property values in Hyderabad. Also, follow the commercial development. Hyderabad has seen a record amount of commercial space take up, which means normally when a commercial property is taken up by large multinationals, that translates into jobs. That means that the rental value in your area is likely to rise. You'll get good returns for that. Also remember that there are some, I think we'll talk about our checklist at this point of time. It should be legal. one of the biggest problems in the suburbs is that many people are selling revenue lands. The project is made on revenue lands. In Telangana, the RERA is not as effective as in other states. As a result, you have to do your due diligence very well. Make sure that you borrow finances and
Yeah, bank will check it.
bank will do its due diligence.
Due diligence.
In between, there were some years where the banks were not doing their due diligence. That is a thing of the past. Banks are very, very cautious about lending to you as retail consumers. So buy into those projects which a bank says is safe. Also remember that when you buy in the suburb, look at upcoming infrastructure. Is there a planned metro
Yeah,
link?
in fact, invest according to that only.
Yeah.
I mean, blindly investing in suburb is not going to give you any return.
Yeah.
But if you have any idea that a metro connectivity is going to come to that area,
Or an
some
outer ring road,
outer
or
ring
a,
road is coming up, something of that sort,
Yeah.
then only you invest in that area. Otherwise, it is not advisable at all.
absolutely. So suburban buying is good, but be very careful and spend a little money on your due diligence. Nitin Kumar, ma'am, I want to buy a house. Will I get home loan? My salary is 25,000 monthly, and where in Noida can I get a house in 20 lakhs?
20 lakhs, but
Yamuna Expressway, maybe.
no, even on Noida extension, he will get a house, single bedroom or a small affordable house kind of a structure for 20 lakhs of rupees. But only thing is this, for 25,000 rupees, he can get a loan up to around 15 lakh.
15 lakh is what you will get from the as formal finance, and what would be his EMI?
EMI will be something around 12,000 rupees.
About 12,000 is your EMI. The remaining money you should be ready with. Then you can look in places like Noida Extension. You get a small affordable unit. Remember, when Amrapali gets completed, there'll be a lot of affordable homes that will enter the market. That's a good time for you to look at, and already there is restructuring going on,
Yeah.
and completion should be on the cards through
Yeah,
NBCC.
exactly. In that area, you will get it.
There's Neil Sehgal of Mumbai who says, can buyers get benefits from the upcoming budget this year? Any exemption in GST and property tax?
No, that is not possible now, because the GST government has already pegged at 5% and 1% for any of the house.
And
No.
it's not a tax that anybody can take away
Yeah.
suddenly, because there is a central part and a state's
Yeah.
share, and it's a very complex system of division.
Yeah.
So,
So
will
it is
they-
not possible that they will reduce it below 5%.
Right.
So that 5% will remain, or 1% for the
Yeah.
affordable housing. But the government might give some other concession,
Right.
like the tax concession. Right now, the deduction is allowed up to 1,50,000
Yeah.
rupees against EMI. That level, that might go up to 2 lakh rupees or 3 lakh rupees. That is the demand for long. And I believe government might look for that, so that your overall cost, if you're a taxpayer, then only your overall cost will come down, or your EMI will come down. But one problem, and that is good also,
Yeah.
is what this government is saying, that if I am giving you any kind of a benefit through tax cut or the tax side, that means you are well off. You're already, your income is more than 5 lakh rupees per annum or 6 lakh rupees per annum, 50,000-60,000 rupees per annum minimum. So government is saying that if I'll give it to you, then why not to the poor people who is not paying tax?
Right.
Because he is also citizen of India.
Yeah.
Okay, so the benefits should go to him also. So that is the difference of this government's outlook. And so I doubt that they will really give the benefit to that level also. So but they are certainly, they want to give some benefit to the home buyers also. So that they might increase this CLSS or some this kind of, because CLS is given almost to everybody now.
Right.
So through that also they can, if they want to really pass on the benefit, they can do through that also.
Right. There is Harsha Puri who says home buyers are either waiting for refund or possession. Though RERA has brought in a lot of transparency, can we expect judicial powers to be provided to this authority to strengthen its functionality?
Judicial power is given to them.
Judicial powers is given, execution has been weak, execution of orders has been weak. As we understand from the ministry, there is a lot of effort to sort this problem of execution. The center and the states are trying to see how it can become more effective, so that RERA orders can be executed.
And particularly it's a state subject.
It's a
the
state
problem
subject.
is that the center cannot ask the state to do what you want. so that it becomes more effective. But the state government itself, they want it to make more effective.
Yeah.
And so I am told that they are giving some more power to the authority to request to the DM of that area, district magistrate, to execute the RERA's
Right,
order.
right.
So they are going to develop some coordination of that type so that it can be executed easily.
Right.
But they are going to do it. But so long as the supervision power of RERA has, it is very effective.
Yes.
And with that, RERA can monitor the projects, development of the projects, and can ensure that a project is implemented timely. But this is only true for those projects which are launched in the RERA period,
Yeah.
that is after 2017. But those projects which are old, launched before 2017, on that still RERA has the say. Now those projects are also registered, but they are already delayed. So now nothing much can be done, but RERA wants or trying its best to complete the project as soon as possible.
Right. And remember that ultimately RERA has to become effective everywhere. Most in states where it's effective, it's not only punitive. A lot of RERA resolutions are through dialogue, resolution. The builders, the buyers, the RERA authorities, all are working together towards resolution. It's much better, and I've seen much better results through conciliation
And all this.
rather than through confrontation. Nitin Rajput says, I'm getting a good deal in Amrapali semi-finished project. Should I buy it? If yes, what things should I take care of? Amrapali is not selling.
No. But the buyer can sell it, and I believe that if you are getting the good deal now, if you ask me, it's my personal hunch that all the projects are going to be completed.
Yes.
But one thing you remember in this case, that what I feel that some of the projects of Amrapali could be short of fund. In that situation, the authority may ask the existing buyer itself to pull in money to complete the project, or otherwise to sell it, or otherwise it will go to NCLT. So for various kind of permutation and combination before buying a house in Amrapali, one must consider. Because if he is sure of it that in that project there is a surplus fund remaining in that project to complete the project, buy it without any problem. But if it is 100 and 105%, like the 105 rupees required and 100 rupees required and 105 rupees is there in the system. So then there is a doubt, because just 5 rupees extra might finally comes a bit short to complete the project.
Absolutely.
So at that time, authority itself will come that, okay, now this much short, so you people might have to pay 50,000 rupees per flat or 1 lakh rupees per flat to complete your 50 lakh rupees per flat. Now, many buyers will think that, okay, just by paying 1 lakh of rupees, if I'll get back my 50 lakh of rupees, so they will have to come forward.
Yes.
Because now remember there, that buyer has gone away. Now, only thing is this developer. Now, authority is after the developer to recover the money, but that will take time. So whatever payment you will make, you might get it back once the developer of the Amrapali returns that money. But that will take
It hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened.
There was a lot of talk about how a forensic audit and figuring out where the money has gone will bring the
Exactly.
money back into the system. No money has come back into the
Yeah.
system.
Very difficult.
It's a very complex case. It's very difficult. So I would say that today there are many options where you don't have to go for a project that is still stuck, or wait till that project comes unstuck and you know exactly what the ground reality
Like
is.
JP is a good project to buy because now their NBCC is going to resolve and they have committed to resolve the entire project. So there all the flat of JP is going to be completed. But for
But again, timelines.
Yeah, timeline.
It is important for you to understand when do you need that house and when will you be able to occupy it, when will it be completed, because even when you say a JP or an Amrapali, all projects are not completed at one go. It is done in a sequential manner. There are some projects that get completed first, which are close to completion. There are some projects that are not
4 years time, they
Yeah.
themselves have given that
Yes.
4 years it will require to
so,
complete the project.
so accordingly make your choice.
And in the case of Amrapali, the developer's entire property has already been seized.
Yeah.
And they have been valued at somewhere around 300 or 350 crores.
Right.
So that is the only kind of a money right now will come from that side. but it might require much more.
And also, Prabhakar, what is the quality of construction there? Remember that just buying a house is not enough. You must know that the construction quality was of a certain standard. There are some features that were not delivered. NBCC has started completing some of those features in projects that had only a finishing to be done. Now, all that is important. So I would say don't rush into buying into a stuck project. Wait till the projects are ready. At least the resolution plan is ready before you start buying. There is Nikhil Arora of Pune who says, my friend always suggests to me to invest with renowned and large players of real estate to ensure fast and quality delivery. What are your thoughts, and should individuals invest in big names only in today's scenario?
Yeah.
It is not a question of a big name. I think there are some groups which have chosen to be in the mid segment or the lower segment, and they have delivered phenomenal results. I would like to call out a couple of names. Signature Global, which said that we are going to construct they entered the market in the lower affordable segment. They have scaled up slightly, but they have maintained that quality. There are some groups which have been consistently delivering good quality, even though they are not the large names that you see. So ultimately, it's a question of go back to their bank of projects and see what they have delivered, see the quality of what they have delivered, also how are they maintaining their projects after completion.
And finally, it all depends on his or her affordability.
Right.
Now, suppose today if you are going to buy a house from a very respected, renowned corporate developer, there you might get a house at 6,000 rupees square feet. Close to that, there might be a completed house, and there you might get it at 5,500 rupees per square feet. There is no
And if the house is of good quality, why wouldn't you pick it up? It's just a question of make sure that that house is maintained into the
yeah,
future.
exactly. That is because that renowned corporate developer normally is renowned mainly because he maintains that house very well. So for that maintenance sake also you will have to pay, and you should pay for that also. I will not say that you should not pay for that. But in the existing house of 5,500 rupees square feet, that might not be a very renowned developer, but if the house, the welfare committee of that society is maintaining its house very well, you should buy it.
Yeah, why not? And Akhil Goswami of Delhi says, can we see sustainable housing in 2020? What future holds for greenhouse concept and sustainable infrastructure? Prices are not conventional. Still, can we consider this for investment? In fact, sustainable housing, green features, there are norms that GRIHA has come out with, that IGBC has come out with, USGBC has come out with for even affordable homes. So why are we recommending greenhouses? Because the net cost, the differential price has come down significantly.
Not only that, now that is the minimum requirement nowadays to get an approval. Yeah. Without that, if a developer just said, okay, I will develop and I will not maintain or manage my solid waste and all that, they will not get the approval.
Absolutely.
Now the entire solid waste has to be done by that developer inside that campus itself.
Even STPs of a certain, this is the sewage treatment plants, they have become more and more compact. They have to become at the micro levels, and they're doing it. Also remember that if you have solar energy, and with all these solar energies, STPs, solid waste management and so on, what is happening is that one, your lifestyle is more sustainable, and two, the operating costs of your house, the management cost of your house starts coming down.
All the new projects are green only, because otherwise they will not get any approval. Now in the Noida, on the expressway itself, all the new houses which are coming up, they have their own STPI, they have their own plant itself, and Kochi, I am told that even all these housing society, they have not been given connectivity to the main sewer lines.
Yeah.
They are saying that you maintain or manage your sewage yourself.
Even solid waste management. In many places across Kerala, Kerala is a very densely populated area, very fertile land. As a result, they don't have landfills. Yep. As a result, all solid waste has to be managed within the complex, and that's the future.
Yeah, that's the future.
There is, I think we've got a query. When will flats under affordable housing be delivered? Many have been delivered.
Delivered.
And they are being delivered as we speak. I think affordable housing has become a significantly streamlined
Yeah,
activity.
exactly, because the government is now charging EWS in that, and a lot many other charges have been waived off. So the total cost at which they are selling is around 2,800 rupees per square feet in Gurgaon.
Yeah.
So the cost has come down for them, and so they are selling it at a very, very attractive price, I will say. And the quality of housing is not bad, except for one thing only, that they don't have car parking.
No car parking. In fact, that is going to be a deterrent in many cases,
Yeah.
unless there is some public parking, because everybody today owns a house,
Yeah.
owns a car. Rachit Aluwalia of Bengaluru says, I have seen apartments here in Bengaluru, fully automated and technology driven. I'm thinking of buying an apartment in Delhi. Can I expect to find one here? And does this increase the value of my property? It also increases the cost.
Yeah.
Remember that the value of the property comes later. What you have to spend for buying a fully automated house is way, way higher, because these technologies are in nascent stages. They are expensive today, and but they are available.
Available.
You can raise your blinds with the press of a button on your mobile. You can switch on your lights. You can all your devices can talk to each other. All this is possible, and it's much more prevalent in the south. I've seen a lot more of that in Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Chennai than I have seen in the Delhi NCR. So I would say that you will have to look for these, but these are going to come at a cost, and the maintenance of
available.
these. But the maintenance of this is also very
Very
high.
high.
So if you buy a fully automated house, be prepared to shell out larger maintenance fees
Yeah.
also. Will that fetch you better values? I'm not sure, because more expensive houses are more expensive in resale as well, more difficult to resell. The run-of-the-mill, most in-demand houses are the ones that are easiest to
Yeah.
exit.
But that might become very, very in demand after 10, 20 years from today. I mean, because when this.
That is a very long time period. Let's assume that it's coming
Remember,
a
in
little
2000,
earlier.
when in 2000, I remember in Noida and Gurgaon, all these new houses were coming with the gym, with swimming pool, and at that time only in Delhi they were
Yeah.
this flat culture was very, very
Yeah.
prevalent. So people used to go and say that who will buy it and why will one pay for it and all that. Now today that
That's
has
the
become
new
mainstream.
benchmark.
Yeah,
That's the new
new
benchmark.
benchmark.
Uh, So there we are. There are many reasons why you should consider buying. Be careful. Do your due diligence. Make sure that you buy those apartments which will go through to completion. We asked you, will you buy property in 2020? 53% said yes. 47% said no. The market is still iffy.
Yeah.
It's neck and neck between should I buy or should I wait.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching This Week in Property. I'm Jayashree Kurup, and this is Prabhakar Sinha.
Thank you very much for watching.